as a Patriots fan, the one thing on my mind at the moment is we just traded Joe Milton. And I don't bring that up because I think I'm going to miss Joe Milton. I bring that up with this idea that we sold a few Joe Milton cards, whether that was on Check On My Cards or eBay or during our Whatnot card show, which I will get to in a second. But this idea of how quickly a player's market can change and what news like that can do to a player's market so quickly. And how I believe this will not be the last time we will see this between now and, let's say, the draft. I think the draft will have more of these, but this is one of those things I've really tried to pay attention to over the years, and I think this leads to a lot of opportunities with specific players. Milton is just a perfect example of this, where you're brought in the same time as a guy like Drake May, who is the higher pick, expected to be the guy. Milton gets in at the final game of the season. Unfortunately, I remember this because the Patriots had the number one pick going into the last game of the season. Joe Milton comes in, balls out. The Patriots win the game and drop from 1 to 4. So shout out Joe Milton. We did get a 5th and a 7th, I think, was the trade. So we got a couple picks out of him. But Joe Milton gets traded and his stuff starts to sell. And I think it's this idea that there's optimism. Is it when a player's relevant? Is it when a player gets traded? I mean, I'm going to get on here and say I am not the biggest believer in Dak Prescott. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. I don't think he's the reason the Dallas Cowboys are going to win a Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl. So I'm not a believer in Dak Prescott. So do I think Joe Milton is going to come in and be better than Dak Prescott? No, I do not. But Joe Milton, preseason games, buzz, offseason, that's just how the market works. And this, to me, is the start of what I would imagine is a short-term life cycle for Joe Milton. Again, I think there's some immediate demand now, and then as we get closer to the start of the season and you see him in preseason games, this is the way it works in cards now, and it's just so crazy to see. We've got some sales pulled up. Milton Micro Mosaic, $150 for a guy that's going to Dallas to be the backup. Gold standard patch auto to 15 sold today on auction for $238. Man, it seems like being in the backup quarterback market might be the move. Prism, draft picks, Saturday Stars, black gold. Draft picks, this is a Tennessee jersey. Sold today, $250, Joe Milton. It's just crazy how this works. No rhyme or reason. Joe Milton may not start, likely will not start, but the optimistic investor, optimistic person, we'll talk more about this a little bit on the interview because we filmed that a minute ago. But it's this idea that like every time we get closer to the start of the season, everybody is gonna start. Everybody's gonna win a Super Bowl. Everybody's gonna be an NFL MVP. And clearly, there's some of that optimism built into Joe Milton's pricing when you see multiple sales in the last 24 hours. Now, Joe Milton may be the guy. He may be awesome. That could happen. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not. I don't believe that to be the case. But if it does happen, Joe Milton be an example. But, you could see guys like potentially Hendon Hooker getting traded on draft day from the Lions to another team. He's been there a little while. We could see guys like, and this will be the same thing with Brandon Ayuk. There's been some talks that Ayuk could get traded. We're in Ohio. The Browns have been brought up a lot in the Brandon Ayuk pursuit. Brandon Ayuk gets traded to the Browns on draft day. Maybe we've got some buzz there. Kirk Cousins gets traded out of Atlanta. Could be some buzz there. Like Sam Darnold gets traded to Seattle. JJ McCarthy stuff takes a bump. It's crazy how the offseason works. It seemed like there used to be a lot more of a time where the offseason was a little bit longer. You could prospect guys in the offseason, see who is maybe going to be the guy. Now we got Joe Milton getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 5th and a 7th, and we got $10,000 gold kabooms selling the day of that trade. Crazy how the card market works now, especially for quarterbacks. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of offseason right now in the NFL market with sales like that with, a guy like Joe Milton. So